Hi, guys, Between Two Worlds with Deb. Glad you could join me today. The title of our video today is UFOs Why Now, Part 2. A couple of years ago, I put together a video about a prophetic dream I had. Well, I felt like it was a prophetic dream, and funny how prophetic dreams come true. It's now coming full circle. You be the judge at the end. Please like and share. Thank you. In the background, I was dreaming about UFOs, and I would see them in the sky, and I think, and it scared me. It scared me to see them in my dreams, and I wasn't with family members. I was with other people, but I don't know who they are. So I dreamt about that, and then one night, and I don't usually remember my dreams, so I know that if it's a prophetic dream, God is going to make sure that I remember it. So anyway, I had another UFO dream, and they came in the sky, and they landed. And everyone around there was scared and freaking out about everything. And there was a big alien, and then there was a little alien. And the little alien bent over, like to pick up something, and I could see through him. So I was like, oh my goodness, he's a hologram. The other one's a hologram. These are holograms. So with reverse technology and holograms, and if you look up some videos on holograms, they have some amazing technology on how they can project holograms. I mean, people walking upstairs, all kinds of stuff. So why couldn't they project UFOs into the sky? Why couldn't they be doing it now? Why couldn't they be flying around in UFOs to make us suddenly see all these UFOs? I mean, we've seen them over the years. Why did they keep them from us for so long? I don't understand why. Do you? And now that you guys have seen my video from 2 years ago, let's see what others have to say about these particular things. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to On the Record. Those of you who joined us last week were probably amazed, as I was, by some of the latest research in the field of UFOs. There is so much to talk about, however, we were unable to fit it all into one program, so my guest again this week is UFO researcher, former state Senate candidate, and award-winning pilot John Lear. Mr. Lear, nice to have you here again.
Always a pleasure to be here, George.
To begin with, we have this concept of the people from other planets as little green men. Are they green from what you know? Are they all the same, or we got different kinds of them?
George, there's at least 70 different species, and probably more. But yes, as odd as it sounds, there are little green men. That's not the ones we usually see, though. We see the little gray ones. They're about 4.5 feet tall. We see the ones that are called the Nordics. They're about 7 feet tall, look like us, but they're invariably blonde hair and blue-eyed. They're one of the species that we have on ice. One of their crashes we recovered.
Obviously, with different species, they have different motives. I mean, are there good aliens and bad aliens?
Good
aliens from what you know?
and bad aliens, and all kinds of ways and reasons for interacting with us.
And what are some of the reasons? Why would they be here?
Genetic experiments, trying to. There's a misconception here. People think that our space brothers would bring us, good things and teach us how to get rid of all our diseases. And if you stop and think about it, that may not be the best thing, because if you had a society without any disease and everybody starts living 150 years, that creates a lot of problems. So they would not meddle in that way.
You believe in part that the movies E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, were not entirely just the creative products of some Hollywood director, that maybe there's more to that. Why don't you explain?
They were carefully guided by representatives from MJ-12, who is this organization that is in charge of the cover-up, in order to get us ready for the release of the information that there are indeed.
Get us ready for the release of information. What could that be, do you think? Let's see what the former FBI agent has to say about that.
And I'll tell you, the next step, it's a little difficult to hear, but the next step, because they need to keep building up the fear of these UAPs, next step is really for the UAPs to start shooting down our commercial airliners and our military jets from the skies. And that, I believe, is going to be happening very, very soon.
Welcome to Redacted Conversations. I'm Clayton Morris. On this show, we invite journalists and thought leaders and whistleblowers and interesting people who have interesting stories to tell. And our guest today is John D'Souza. John D'Souza is a retired FBI special agent who served 25 years on counterterrorism, paranormal cases. He had a top secret security clearance during his FBI career. In fact, D'Souza literally collected the real life X-Files that were used in the show, The X-Files. And I want to welcome John in. John, I became aware of you because I think.
Could it be that the X-Files and some of these other movies and these guys here, could it be that this is soft disclosure getting us ready for what's going to happen?
Think about a year ago, you said publicly on an interview that I caught that, hey, the government is going to use some sort of a UFO invasion, a fake UFO invasion story. And you laid it out specifically. And then wouldn't you know, a few weeks ago, we have Chinese balloons and UFO invasion. And I remembered that interview. We featured it on the show, and my audience was like, holy smokes, he got it right. So, John, that's how I first learned about you. So I said, I want to have John on the show. I want to hear about his FBI career. I want to hear about these X-Files. I want to hear about your writing. I want to hear about how prescient you were with all of these, this awareness about what the deep state is doing, the cabal and all of that. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clayton. It is great to be here with you on Redacted Conversations, Redacted News. You guys are fantastic, and I am so happy to be here. This is a great privilege for me. And yes, all that you were saying is correct. And I am John D'Souza. I was a special agent investigator in the FBI for 25 years. That was, well, over 25 years. And I was the agent that had several of their stories way back in 1993. There were several of my stories were taken by a show that was going on the air at that time for about a year. It was called The X-Files, and it was using several of my.
Did you guys ever watch the X-Files? There was some crazy stuff that went on in the X-Files. Could it be possible that some of those stories are really true?
My cases, and the FBI actually called the creator of that show while I was there, our bosses at the FBI, and told him, "Where did you get those stories from?" Because they were classified. They were not only classified; they were buttoned up, what we call buttoned up, having everybody sign additional non-disclosures and things like that. And so the creator, Chris Carter, he tells this story today. He had to answer. He was told by the FBI that his show was going to be shut down, and he had to tell them where they got his show because they were obviously accusing me at the time of giving this information to Chris Carter. That was not the case, and he expressed to them that that was not the case as well, and he actually got the stories from several retired FBI agents that actually were working with me and went to Hollywood to be consultants. And they got my what we call the OTB book, the off the books notes that I have of cases that that were not really put into FBI files for various reasons. Many of us have those books, and they're very interesting and they're very good. And other than that, though, I also worked all the big counterterrorism cases as well. That was kind of like my major, while paranormal was kind of my minor at that point. And so that's where I come from. That's what I have done, and I have a lot of.
Now that we've seen his credentials, he's a little long and lengthy. This thing is like an hour long. We don't have that kind of time on our hands. So let's go on to the next video. Now they're coming out with UFO whistleblowers. Okay, let's hear what they have to say.
Ms. Mace, Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to our witnesses who are testifying today. I want to thank each of you for being here to discuss a topic of grave importance to our national security. Earlier this year, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of my home state of South Carolina. Since the Roswell incident in 1947, many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects crisscrossing our skies, whether these are UAPs or
1947. Yes.
weather phenomena, advanced technology from American allied or enemy forces, or something more out of this world.
So 1947 is when the Roswell incident, that is 76 years ago. So for 76 years, they've withheld information from us about UFOs and all kinds of stuff. Continue.
So my first question, I have several questions, and if we can just be quick on these first two, I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and then I'll get to each of you individually. The first one, when you reported your experiences with a UAP, did any of you face any repercussions with your superiors, yes or no?
No.
No. I've actually never seen anything personal.
Interesting how there's no repercussions for them whistleblowing. Don't you think that's an interesting fact? Nothing's happened to them. Maybe they want us to hear what they say. Maybe the whistleblowers aren't exactly whistleblowers. They're just pretending to be whistleblowers. Let's
Believe it or
continue.
not, so.
All right. And then do you believe there's an active disinformation campaign within our government to deny existence of UAPs, yes or no?
I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, I think that they were denying it for 76 years, but now they're not denying it anymore because it's soft disclosure now.
As previously stated publicly, yes.
I think previously with like Project Blue Book, yes, but currently I don't speak for the United States government.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings in your belief go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my personal experience speaking with a number of pilots, but I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
In the incident off Virginia Beach, do you believe the Navy took the danger to your aircraft seriously after it was reported?
Absolutely.
A few questions for Mr. Favor. As an expert naval aviator, have you ever seen an object that looked and moved like the Tic Tac UAP?
No.
Did the Tic Tac UAP move in such a way that defied the laws of physics?
The way we understand them, yes.
Many dismiss UAP
Did you hear what he said? The way we understand them, huh?
reports as classified weapons testing by our own government, but in your experience as a pilot, does our government typically test advanced weapon systems right next to multi-million-dollar jets without informing our pilots?
No, we have test ranges for that.
It took over 15 years for your encounter with the Tic Tac to be declassified. Do you feel there was a good reason to prevent lawmakers from having access to this footage?
No, I just think it was ignored when it happened and it just sat somewhere in a file. Never got reported.
In a drawer. It happens a lot up here. Shocker.
You just sat somewhere like Area 51.
Mr. Gresh, a couple of questions for you too, sir, this morning. What percentage of UAPs do you feel are adequately investigated by the U.S. government, of the 5% that are reported?
I can only speak for my personal leadership over at NGA. I tried to look at every report that came through that I could triage. So,
do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
there are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, so there's a gentleman called Sergey Monos that I talked about on my previous video. And he said that the New World Order will be coming in that way. So I believe, this is all my belief now, I believe that they're giving us soft disclosure now. They're starting to bring the spacecrafts in, whatever they call them, UFOs. They're starting to bring them in now and letting us see what's going on in the skies, but they've been withholding it for 76 years. Okay, now, why now? Is it because they're going to use these against us? Sergey Monos talked about it, and he said that the New World Order, that's how they'll bring it in. Again, Orson Welles, The War of the Worlds, 2 movies about that. I talked about it in my previous video, and he was saying that he was a journalist, and he was saying that that's how they're going to bring in the New World Order. Basically, they're going to scare us to death with holograms, and that's what my dream was about. And so, because of that, I believe that these guys that are whistleblowers aren't really whistleblowers. But you know, what can we do in our lives about all of this that's going to happen to us? Can we do anything about it? All we can do is know about it. The Lord is my light and salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil. That is what's happening. That is what's coming at us. And that is what they're doing. And that's why they're slowly but surely bringing all these UFOs in. And the guy said it. They're going to start attacking airplanes and such like that. And that just starts scaring us because they figured out from COVID that fear can do all kinds of things. And fear can do a lot to us too. So going forward, again, we need to pray. Again, we need to ask God to show us when we're walking through the valley of the shadow of death what will not befall us. Okay, there was no evil that will come against us if we make God our Lord and Savior. Thank you for watching my video. God bless.